Hey guys, this is Steadfast with Havoc Gaming. Today I'm going to bring you a short tutorial on some of the bosses in one of the level 50 dungeons in ArcheAge. The dungeon we're going to be looking at today is called the Greater Howling Abyss. This is, I guess, their hard mode version of the dungeon, so we'll just be going over some of the mechanics, a few tips on the bosses. We also have a short little clip regarding some of the physics mechanics in the game as far as this dungeon is related, so we'll go ahead and we'll jump right into it. Some of the main things to note before you actually start this first boss, and the clip that you're going to be noticing is actually for Viboros the Golden. Now, Viboros the Golden is basically a two-headed Hydra. He has a few main abilities that you want to keep note of. He spawns eggs at the beginning of the fight, one to his left, one to his right, and if you do not kill these eggs, they will spawn little mini Hydra ads. Now these ads do a decent amount of damage, so it is a priority to kill these eggs before they spawn. Further down the line, he's going to start marking targets with a little arrow symbol. Now most of you can recognize the mark because it's also the same mark that rangers use to mark their targets. So if you have that mark over your head, you want to move out of the way because the boss does charge. If the boss charges you and hits you with that mark, he's going to knock you down. Unfortunately, I do get knocked down in this video, and I'm sure you'll see it here a little bit later, but key thing to remember is always move out of the way when he's doing his charge. The other thing to note is he will start spawning more eggs as the encounter progresses. So the lower the HP of the boss mob, the more eggs he will spawn. Usually it only gets up to about 4. The main thing that you want to do at this point in time is have your tank. If he has spec'd into Oromancy, he can use the AoE pull, which is on around a 15-second cooldown, somewhere around there. Makes it really easy, and you'll see it in this video. He just pulls all the eggs in at once, and then you can easily just AoE them down. It's pretty much a tank and spank fight. You just gotta keep mobile, keep the damage, and when it gets closer to around, I don't know, 15, maybe 20%, depending on your DPS level, you can forget the ads at that point and just focus on the boss. Alright, so the second boss in this dungeon is Knight Captain Travis Godfrey. A few things to keep in mind when doing this encounter. He does what we call the Axe Massacre. It's kind of hard to see at times, but basically he spawns little miniature axes in an AoE around him. You don't want to be in that spot. They will stun you, and they will chunk your life to about half. Actually, I think I get hit by one of them in this little clip that we're about to show. The other thing to note is that he spawns ads. Now these ads, basically you just want to kite them around. There's two ways to do this fight. What he does, he has a mechanic where he basically lifts himself into the air and starts channeling a cast. Now at the end of this cast, he basically drops an AoE fire damage spell, and it will one-shot. So there's two ways to beat this. The ads actually put a frost debuff onto you. If the ad hits you about 4 to 5 times, it will actually freeze you in place. If you have that frozen debuff on you, and this is the actual game mechanic, then that one shot from the fire AoE will not kill you. The other way to do it is if your tank or any other member in the party has level 50 in Oromancy, you can just pop Wing of Defense, have everyone stack on that Wing of Defense, and his one shot will not hurt you. The other thing that you'll notice is he'll send out little red balls. They do a small amount of damage, and nothing really major there. The only other mechanic that he really has is he basically becomes Garen in League of Legends and starts to spin to win, and he will hop from target to target, and he puts a DOT on you, and it will actually chunk you, depending on if he actually hits you at that time. Pretty much that's it, so enjoy the fight, guys. Alright, third boss, Khalil the Cursed. This boss is actually relatively easy. However, he is a magic damage boss, so if your tank is rock and plate, you may want to have him swap out just for this one. At least throw on some leather. I've seen a few tanks rolling cloth on this one. It's not a bad idea. Best way to do this encounter, you'll see, he does a lot of magic damage. The room will actually fill up with water, and he actually casts a lightning ability, which will electrocute anyone in that water. So what we've done through a few different testing phases is actually had everyone spread out and hop up along the walls, and you can see it in the video here. What that does is basically allows us to stay out of the water and away from that electrical damage. He will sleep random targets. He will also nuke random targets with fire damage. Healers just need to be on top of their game on this one. It's pretty much just heal through the damage. As long as you're on top of the wall, you're good. Tanks, actually, interesting thing, if you have Wing of Defense, as I mentioned in the earlier fight with the Knight Captain, you can actually aggro this guy, run back to the pillar there, hop on, pull him, and then pop your Wing of Defense. Now, Wing of Defense for this particular mob, for whatever reason, will actually generate a huge amount of aggro. So that's a good idea to go ahead and pop that. That way you're not taking damage, but you're also building threat at the same time. Aside from that, it's pretty much just burn them down while you're on the wall, and enjoy the rest of the fight. Alright guys, fourth boss, Musparosa's Spirit. This is more of a mini-boss. He's a precursor to the endgame boss. He's basically just a miniature version, if you will, of the final guy. The thing to note when you start off, he's going to cast a spell called Illusionary Rage. Basically creates an iron skin ability, if you will, so that any damage received will be reduced around 95%, 99%, somewhere in there. It's basically you're doing no damage. The way to get around this, there's two weapons in the room, one on your left, one on your right. It's basically like a crossbow thing that stays in your back. All you have to do is pick it up, aim it at him, and fire. Once it hits, it'll stun him. I think it's about 7 or 8 seconds, and then you just straight up DPS. It's a tank and spank encounter. Doesn't take long, and then you're straight to the next final boss. Alright guys, last and final boss, Ancient Titan Musparosa. Now this boss is basically a larger version of the mini that we just saw. He has about 3 or 4 new abilities to look out for, nothing too serious. Has the same stone skin mechanic. The weapons to remove it are in the 4 corners of the room. Basically just pick them up aiming at him and fire. He has a AoE health drain. You can tell when he's casting it, it is a green life drain channel that will be cast on you or your party members. The way to get rid of this is simply to go to one of the four corners of the room. Next to the weapons there are shields. Now you just pick up the shield, you activate the ability that you get after you pick it up, and it will reflect that damage. Now a thing to note is you're still going to take damage even after you pick up that shield and activate the ability. However, you will not get stunned at the end of the channel. So he will actually take the stun as long as at least 2 or 3 members actually reflect that back on him. When he's stunned, he will gain stone skin, so you kind of have to wait a few seconds before you can start DPSing again. Let's see, he also casts white orbs in an AoE. They do a significant chunk of damage. Basically just avoid those. He does an AoE group pull. When he does that, just back out. It's not a big deal. And he also has a frontal AoE cone, just make sure you're not up front. Does a decent amount of damage. That's about it. I mean, there are some bugs with the encounter as far as the shields go. Sometimes you'll run over there while he's channeling and the shields just won't be there. They just haven't spawned. Hopefully that gets fixed with some of the updates in maybe 1.2. He's got a decent loot table. We actually got one of the heroic cloth chest pieces this run. All in all, it's a pretty standard fight. It's not too difficult. The only problems is, you know, the shields, sometimes they don't spawn. So your healers just really have to be on top of topping everyone off. But that's pretty much it for Greater Howling Abyss, guys. I hope you liked it. If you have any comments, just let us know. We'll also be releasing some in the other dungeons. We have some footage for the 45 zone as well. A lot of good loot in there, so accessories, 45 armor sets, things like that. And also has a lot of pet armor drops, including saddles and leggings and all kinds of different things. So we'll be releasing a ton of new videos upcoming here very, very, very shortly. So just keep an eye out on our channel, and we look forward to seeing you in game. Once again, this is Stabfast with Havoc Gaming. We'll see you on the battlefield.